9 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order, please. Start off with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll start out with approval of the minutes, please. Everyone had a chance to look them over?
Yeah, I would make a motion to the minutes. I'll second.
First and second. All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. First up, we have a resolution supporting the inclusion of the upstate nuclear power plants in New York State's Climate Action Control Scoping Plan and extension of the Zero Emissions Credit Program. And we do have to make an amendment on the back of that. There's some amendment that says Brian, Michael, it's supposed to be Brian.
Well, Brian is a really smart guy.
He wanted to make sure we do that, that's why he did that. So you need a motion for that amendment?
I'll make the motion.
All right.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Now back to the original amendment. Discussion on that, please. Anybody has anything?
I just add that this is very similar to one that we did a few years ago when they were gonna close down Fitzpatrick. The only change is that this speaks directly to a plan that the DEC has about zero carbon going forward, and we just want to make sure that nuclear plants are continued to be listed as one of those zero carbon assets for electric generation.
Right. We surely need it.
Yes.
What are the chances that they'll say no to something like that, but they won't with them?
It's hard to say. There's been some public hearings recently. Legislator Wilmot and County Administrator Church both spoke at the Syracuse public hearing, and I think there was like 12 people who spoke in favor of it and 3 who spoke against it. And from what I understand, at the other public hearings around the state, there's been similar ratio. So at least in this period of public comment, most of the comments that the committee has been hearing have been in favor of this. So.
So we need a motion to pass that.
I'll make the motion.
I'll make a second.
First and second. Any other discussion on it? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carries. Next up, we're going to have a report from the clerk's office.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Everybody should have a copy of the report. We'll start on, pages aren't numbered. There's one that is, but it says page 10, but that isn't correct. So the first page of accounting would be page 4, which would show our expenditures versus our revenue. As you can see there in the top, with our expenditures and our revenue, we come back to total cost to the county, which we give you back $2 million. So there's that page there you can look through. We break out the benefits for you and show you the end result. So our revenue includes our motor vehicle fees, our plate surrenders, our motor vehicle use tax, motor vehicle online revenue sharing, which I will note. Last year we started seeing some revenue sharing in March, a little bit, only a couple thousand. This year we didn't see any in March, and it just started this month in April, so because we just closed it out. So showing a little decrease there, but hopefully it'll catch back up. And I'm trying to figure out if motor vehicle does something similar to like the sales tax does, where sometimes they put one here and there and give a lump sum a little later. So we're watching that pretty close, just so everybody's clear. Outside of that, if you go on to, are there any questions on any of that? Go on to page 5. There's our motor vehicle fees, which we've collected. I've shown you 18 through 21. There has been a decrease, 18 to 19. There was a decrease, 19, there was a little increase. And then, of course, 2020 and 2021. We really can't put those in the mix of relating those to other years, but I did want to make sure that we showed you an annual report, just so you have an idea of where we stand.
Okay.
Any questions on that? Next page, you'll show our comparison between 2020 and 2021 with our gross receipts. Something that, I guess I was aware there was a lot of money that flowed through clerk's office, but I just wasn't aware how much that actually was. In 2021, we had 23.2 million, just roughly 23.3 million, that flowed through the clerk's office. And I'd like to take a moment now, not just because she's sitting here and she'd hit me later if I didn't, but to thank Nancy and Marissa. I have two people that handle 23.3 million for me, so my hat's off to them. Everything is on my desk, reviewed, explained if I have questions, and I'm just really proud of the financial side of our office, that it's such a small staff that handles such a big load. So thank you to Nancy and Marissa for that. As you can see, we give, in 2021, we wrote a check of $3.6 million to the treasurer. In 2020, it was 3.5. So that stayed pretty steady there. The county clerk's department was 1.4 that we handed back in. So we were slightly up with the clerk's office processing. So that's good. Of course, with the properties being sold and mortgage rate being so low, we saw a lot of them too. And actually, to tell you, right now, we're not seeing it slow up at all. Today's going to be another change when they're talking another 0.5% increase, possibly second one in a row. We're watching that closely, but after they did the first one, nothing slowed up. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure the realtor in the room can tell you how busy it is out there too. Next page is our financial summary. We do list out there line by line the $23.3 million. Take a look at that. As you can see, out of the $23.3 million, I'll draw your attention to the $17.6 million that's sent to the state. So as you are well aware, there's a lot of mandates that cost us money. And that ranges from the Central New York Regional Transportation Authority to all the way down to our sales tax. And then if you turn to the next page, you'll see our bar graph there. We're pretty steady. 2014, we dropped a little bit below the $20 million range, but for the most part, we stayed just above that 20 million. 2021, we're up to 23.3. So,
That's good.
and then last page to represent our record center. We have a year-end report there. We've destroyed a total of 88 boxes, or actually 148. 88 of them were county records that have to be authorized by the department head to put them there. So one thing with the record center is I've kept you up to date on. We have met with a company to try to digitize most of our county records moving forward. Hopefully I'll have a proposal at the next month's meeting of how that'll impact us. There will be a little bit of a financial burden to us. I wanted to do that. Are there any questions on the annual report, Mr. Chairman?
Dave.
Terry, I don't have a copy. Could you tell me what the central number is?
986,000. 925,000, excuse me.
Thank you.
That goes directly to the state though, right?
It goes to the state, then trickles back down to the central. It's supposed to stay here. That's the percentage of the mortgage tax. It's supposed to stay with central. I don't know how they end up, if they see it locally or what, but 925,000 comes from mortgage tax to the central agency. So.
just a point of information, if we decided that we wanted to supply the same services that Centro does and not deal with them, that money would stay in the county.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Terry?
You just gotta tell Nancy where to cut the check.
So Nancy, how many years have you been with us?
7.
Actually, you know, if I may, I'm not gonna embarrass her, but I wanna tell you a good story about this, and this is what we see time and time again throughout our county. Nancy delivered the FedEx packages for years to our clerk's office. One day she walked in, was having a rough day, and one of our index clerks said, hey, you know, we got a test coming, you gotta sign up for it. So she ran upstairs, signed up for it, and the rest is history. She worked her way through the office, from index clerk to account clerk to senior account clerk to deputy of operations for me. So, you know, she's really
Real jewel.
tremendous, but, yeah.
Congratulations on that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just want to, what'd you say? Anybody have a question on the annual report? I just want to give you 2
Go ahead.
updates. Okay, so just so everybody's aware, any of your constituents who are asking pistol permits, the applications now will be turned into my office starting today. You no longer go to the sheriff's department with them. It just makes it easier for all of us involved. There is a new pistol permit application. They have an old one. We'll work with them on that. But actually, our judges in our office have worked together to lessen the burden on the paperwork, if you will. So there is a carry conceal affidavit that needs to be filled out. For employment, you no longer need your employee character reference that gets sent to your employer, and some employers don't fill them out. And when I took over, we had 118 applications sitting in a file cabinet that the employers did not return that sheet to. So that was holding up those pistol permits. So working with the judges, we've done away with that. So if you need to carry for employment, your employer should write to the judge stating that you need that for employment and why. And then the handgun safety course, I get my hats off to the judges. It sounds like a little bit of a pain, but they really reviewed it. They jumped in, they put up a committee of law enforcement that's actually going to review the handgun safety course. So we're going to have 1 course now, not 2, like you've heard about in the past. So you're going to have 1 handgun safety course, but it's only going to be valid for 1 year from the date you take that. So from 1 year when you take that course to you get that application turned in, it has to be less than a year. And that's because they're continuing to review that course curriculum every year. Outside of that, switching gears a little bit to DMV, remember we've heard about the federal Real ID. A year from tomorrow, everybody who wants to fly needs to have a Real ID. You can get that by coming into DMV, and you do need to have certified proof of identity in order to get that. Just let me know if you or any of your constituents have any questions.
Okay.
We have a list that we can provide you with of what are good IDs documentation. So,
Okay. Anybody else have anything for Terry? Thanks again, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
Peg, do you have anything for us?
Just what I had put down, the maps that we had done for the congressional, Senate. The assemblies are still good, but the Senate and the congressional are bad. They're gonna redo them, so they're moving that primary to August. So what I put out here is what the impact is gonna be. As far as the trucks, being 10,800 per election for 6 trucks. We did put that, give it to Holly to put it out to bid, see if we can get a better cost on that. Mail check cards, we sent them out in March. We'll have to do that again when we know what the districts are. And so that's like 15,000 that we're gonna have to do over. That's just Republican and Democrat. I don't know if we'll have to send out another notice telling everybody who the new what the new congressional and Senate district is, depending on if it changes. We had a new law about envelopes. We have to put postage paid on an envelope for returns for absentee applications and one for the absentee. So depending on how many of them we have that will come out of our budget also, but we decided to do a permit, so we're only paying for the ones that we get back instead of putting a stamped envelope in every one of them. We'll have to do another round of election district polls, the poll sites. That's another $2,050. And that doesn't count our ballots, payroll, inspectors, and advertising. So our budget's gonna be doomed. But I just wanted you to know.
Extra expenses. Anybody else have any questions? Board of Elections?
I'd like to add that everything
Yes.
we've done so far this year, we might have to redo.
Yeah.
Essentially, every dime we spend, everything we've done, redistricting, our database, everything is, if everything changes, we're gonna have to redo
And that means
everything.
you'll have.
Yeah. So we put a hold on the legislative districts
Right.
pending this outcome.
Kevin?
Yeah, just, thank you, Chairman. Just want to really quickly update about the auction. We've really been trying to figure out how this is gonna, how it's working out through the courts. Got notification back, we got them from the courts. So we are taking possession of the properties. I am setting up the timeline. I'm gonna send it out to the appropriate people to agree, but it looks like the auction's gonna be at the end of June, starting. It's gonna be online, 30 days, and then like an afternoon of selling after that. Roughly about around 120 like we usually run. So I'll be putting a resolution through this committee next month, allowing me to sell them. The auctioneer is going through FMP this month, and then onto the floor this month, the RFP and awarding it will happen. I wanted that to happen prior to me asking you so I could sell them. And other than that, it is chosen to do the auction online again. It's been very successful. It's amazing how quickly it goes and how much money you make, and the labor that is not there anymore. Arguments. It's been incredible, and it started because of the pandemic. That's what's neat, is really nobody had a lot of information on how to do this, and I remember there was some skepticism about doing it. Looking at Terry. And actually, we developed, we worked with a company that to develop a way to do it efficiently with real property, the assistance of real property, and it was amazing. And we were one of the few counties that actually did it through the pandemic. Thank you to Rich and his staff for doing the right process to do it legally. So other than that, I apologize. It's been really it's going to be kind of a crunch timeline, but going into next year, you're going to have more information, a lot more ahead of time. We still have some that opted to hardship cases that are still sitting out there, and those people were notified. You can claim a hardship, and and the state hasn't really come back to us to allow us to sell that yet. Sell those, very few properties. So, but it's an unfortunate thing. I'm never happy about selling properties in this manner. So that's it. I'll have some buybacks as usual coming through the committee as well. Hopefully not as many as in the past. Any questions from your constituents? I really encourage you to give me them. Let me take the brunt. Don't argue with them. Just say it's the treasurer's fault. Here's his number, and I'll take it. Okay, because you get in the weeds with somebody. And we have all the paperwork. We supply them a little signed green card that they they were notified, and all of a sudden they're balloon pops. So
is a list available yet?
the list, we can send it. I got to clean it up a little bit.
We typically get from this week.
Yeah. We can clean it up. Like again, we didn't know where the courts were going to go with this, and Rich has been, he's been fantastic, but he's been very busy in his office, so we were actually get it through. We got it through pretty good, faster than I ever thought it would be. Any other?
So you think maybe within a couple of weeks you'll have the
I can get you a list. We can clean it up probably by the end of the week. Get you a list.
Only one of the deeds has gone through yet to transfer title to the county, so there is another deed coming for some of these properties. And then I think once the county has all of them, we'll have a better idea of what the list contains, right?
I'm not saying it's urgent, maybe we
Mhm.
wait for that, but I'd like to get it more than a couple of weeks before the actual auction.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because I think there's like 6 or so on the second deed.
Yeah, there's not
a
very many.
handful. There's a handful.
We can wait, there's no sense.
The large,
We-
the large
I
one
think
just
that
got
was two.
verified on
Just like
Thursday,
Thomas.
so, I mean, it just happened a day ago, so.
Yeah, and it usually goes out earlier. You usually try to publish it earlier, but why send it out if the courts are gonna tell us not to? That's where I fell into
Okay.
the box this time. I think the previous year, prior to the pandemic, I'd send it out even almost at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So that you get a month to call if you know somebody, or you know somebody's an elderly, maybe, somebody that may not know that they're going into foreclosure. But this year's just been squirrely with the courts, so, and everything. Any other questions?
I guess we're set. Do you have anything else from real property?
Yeah, I just wanted to share with everyone. So later this month, the local boards of assessment review are going to meet to hear complaints on assessments. And those boards are 3 to 5 members. And a couple of municipalities have shared with me they're struggling to fill those boards. They need at least 3 members, and they're having a difficult time filling them. Hannibal is one actually that only has 1 member on its board and is struggling to even get a second to have a quorum to meet on May 23rd, I believe, is when theirs is. So, or 24th, sorry. So I just wanted the legislature to be aware that there is a condition in real property tax law that would allow the county to form a county level board that could have members from, they just have to be a resident of the county, not necessarily that town, but can hear complaints on assessments in that town. Not something that we have even the time to do this year to assist with, but possibly next year if this problem continues of people not wanting to be on these boards, so.
So what happens if there is not a quorum for the board review?
If they don't hold a meeting, let's say that Hannibal doesn't get a second member and then they aren't able to hold their meeting, they will have to notify me, and then I notify Kevin, and I notify the chairman of the legislature and the clerk of the legislature that there will be, they will be on a temporary board of assessment review for the year, and they will meet in Hannibal at a later date to hear those assessments. It's not something that's ever happened in the 7 years that I've been working for the county, so I don't know what that process officially entails, because I've never seen it happen. So, something we try to avoid if at all possible.
We'll have to work on getting somebody on.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they've been struggling to find somebody, but just no interest in it, I guess.
No, are they an assigned person, or how does that happen? Do they?
The municipality will appoint somebody to that position. It's a 5-year term, and then they have to attend a training session that I teach. And they get certified and recertified every time they're reappointed every 5 years. So.
Can't they assign someone from the town's board of the trustees or whatever they have out in there?
You would think, yeah. That was my suggestion. I said, do you have somebody else that's on a board that doesn't conflict with assessment in any way? Maybe like your zoning board or something like that. And just nobody interested in doing it. It's essentially a day of work.
Right.
Essentially made the one day.
They have 2 vacancies on zoning, 3 on planning.
Oh, that was, yes.
They have a
that's-
vacancy on the town board.
I spoke with the supervisor. That's what he said. Yeah, he said he can't even fill those boards either. So
That's, getting tough on all boards, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people just, they complain about everything, but don't really want to get involved to help with the problem.
So I take the heat.
You see that in all your towns.
Yeah.
Most,
I-
everything else is going on.
My first political thing was I stayed on the previous board for Richmond.
oh yeah.
It is more than one, I mean, you have the one day you meet with people.
And then there's second meetings to follow up, right?
You review.
Yeah, it takes some time, but
It's
not a
not
lot
a-
of time.
Right.
It's not there's not a lot of gratitude.
No, it's not.
Thank you.
It's not a very thankless position. Yes.
You're not the most popular person in the world to drag with your brother.
They don't invite you to go to play golf with them.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything else? If not, I guess I'm looking for appropriate motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I think we have a first and second. Thank you, everyone.